Happy Sabbath. We're so glad to have you join us here in our district, Sharon and Marshall district. We're having a lot of exciting things here going on. We just want to let you know that you're always welcome. If you travel in Marshall, you stop by Emmanuel Church. It's located 1101 Indian Spring. And if you're in Tyler Church, just follow the Holy Ghost and it'll lead you down Broadway to our church. I am really struggling. I've been struggling for a couple of days with this George Floyd situation. It has gotten me so discombobulated that I have struggled with even trying to prepare a sermon. But God is good. So at least he got me to the point where I can at least talk about this thing. And I pray that the information that I give you today will bless your soul. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, thank you for Jesus who came and died for us, thus giving us a right to the tree of life. You said, Lord, you stand at the door and knock. And we open the door, you'll come in and sup with us. Lord, we ask that you would give us strength to get through these trying times. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If I were to give this sermon a title, I would call it We Cry Out. We Cry Out. There's a lot of verses that I'm going to be using. But I want to use Psalms 46 as the kickoff verse. Look at Psalms, the 46th chapter. Psalms, the 46th chapter. When you find Psalm 46, I just want you to look at a couple of verses with me. Verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, the ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth be removed, though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, although the mountains shake and swallow thereof. Stop right there. Look with me down now in verse 7. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Look at verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. Look at verse 11. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. And my brothers and my sisters, and all of you who've had your robes washed in the blood of the Lamb, Christ left us no doubt as to the character that he will always recognize before his Father. The character of the kingdom is but one. Not two. The character of the kingdom is but one. And that character is the righteousness of God. But watching the lynching of George Floyd caused me to ask myself, will I be able to stand? Am I really ready for the time of the trouble? Now I use the word lynching. I use the word lynch because that's exactly what it was. When you lynch someone, you put a rope around their neck and they dingle and dangle a couple inches from the ground until they are fixated and die. And when you put your knee on a person's throat until they pass out, isn't that the same as being fixated in a lynching? While I looked at this, I became sick to my stomach. My lips quivered and my knees shook. My hand began to sweat. This wasn't a Hollywood production or some reality show. This was a human life being taken away from him. I trembled as I watched this scene, not because of the injustice of the law. I have witnessed that injustice for 6 decades. I tremble because I remember Daniel 21. What I was feeling caused me to ask myself, preacher, are you really ready to stand in the time of trouble? Because I tell you, brothers and sisters, I wasn't feeling too churchy. Let me stop trying to be cute and spiritual correct. Let me just tell you the truth. I was mad. As a matter of fact, that old special forces attitude came upon me, and I was ready to go back to the hood. And the Lord knew that. That's why he sent the word of the prophet of Jeremiah to me. The word of Jeremiah says, preacher, if you have ran with the footmen and they have worried you, then how can you content with the horses? The word of God says, and if the land of peace weary you, then what are you going to do with the swelling of the Jordan? If you can't handle this, what are you going to do in the time of trouble? After reading that, I was okay for a while. That is until they replayed it again. Watching this lynching of George Floyd again, I don't mind telling you, I had trouble. I had to ask myself again, will you be able to stand? Feeling this way about someone that you don't even know, will you be able to stand in the judgment? Seeing the brutality of a human to another human, raise your blood pressure, I must admit it. Now, if you're feeling me, don't feel bad. All that means is you're in good company. Jeremiah went through this situation. He had witnessed time and time again the injustice in his land. Habakkuk went through this. He began to ask God, are you really there? I remember what you did for my father and my grandfather. but you haven't done nothing for me lately. And David, even a man after God's own heart, we find David in this same company. Jeremiah, in verse 12, in chapter 12, verse 1, Jeremiah said, Lord, you've always judged righteous when I brought a case before you. Yet, let me speak to you about your justice. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all the faithless people have it so easy? Habakkuk 1, verse 2 and 3 says, how long, Lord, must I call for help? But you don't listen. How long must I cry out about the violent and get no response? Why do you make me look at this injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and confusion all around me. The man after God's own heart, David says in Psalm 13, 1 and 6, Lord, will you continue to forget about me? When will you remember who I am and come and help me? I am sad and confused all the time. How long must this continue? How much longer will my enemy contend over me? When, Lord, would you listen to my cry and remove me out of this situation? David pleading with the Lord to give him strength to get through what he was going through. King Saul was seeing God had a hit list out on David. And for 7 years, David couldn't be conquered. For several years, David was on the run. And yet, God had told David he was going to be the next king. And David ran. And he said, Lord, when are you going to put a stop to this? When are you going to put Saul to rest and let me take over? David was upset and concerned. Now, some of you may not be feeling me, and that's okay. But you cannot deny that this country have a problem. But God has a solution. This country has allowed violence and lawlessness to go unchecked so long. And now, to add the rhetoric of 45, no wonder hate and bigotry is so widespread. And having a conversation with our black and brown kids about safety in this country is useless when the color of their skin is what's really the threat. It's difficult to live in a country when just being who you are is intimidating to others. This thing had me messed up. This thing had me confused. Living in this country is difficult. It has become so bad that even the praying folks, it's hard to maintain their cool. After 150 years of open violence and all the lynching that took place down south, the assassination of King and the 2 Kennedy boys, the beat down of Rodney King and the shooting of Trayvon Martin and other black men, isn't it about time this country wake up? I mean, really, how much of this can we take? How much more do they expect us to take? Did you know that 40%, that 44% of the young blacks that's murdered in our nation is done by those that have sworn to uphold the law? And 21% of those who have been murdered are under the age of 21. No wonder the cry of the nation now is Black Lives Matter. So like David, I too plead with the Lord. Lord, how long will you content with this? How long will you forget about me? How long must we content with this? Lord, please flash your glory before the eyes of 45. On Monday, I realized something. I realized that I had made the same mistake of Jeremiah, Habakkuk, and David. I realized that I had been trying to figure God out. And anytime we try to figure God out, you know we're going to become frustrated. When problems come in your life, when you find yourself on the wrong end of a problem, when you feel frustrated, don't pull your hair out. Just remember that our ways are not God's ways. Just remember that God is still in charge. Remember that God has not hit the automatic button and let this earth run on its own. Keep in mind that God is still the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. And because he is the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, he sees things that we don't. God is never caught off guard. He's never surprised. Even when you think he's not even involved, God has his hand involved. Because God sit high. And because God sit high, he sees things that we would never be able to see from our perspective. When we first went to Vietnam, we would reconnaissance from the ground. We would go out and reconnaissance means we would check out the area. We would do so on the ground, in the thickness of the jungle. In Vietnam, you have triple canopy. There are some places you can see the sky, but there are some places that's so grown up that it looked like midnight. And yet, we was out reconnaissance, looking for the enemy. But then, we realized that the more we recon, the more they whooped our heads. They was there waiting on us. But then, so we started reconnaissance from the air. And that changed the table. Because in the air, you can see much better, a much wider territory than you can on the ground. We can only see the plateau that we're on. But God sees all over the land. And he knows where we're going. He knows what's going to happen before we get there. He knows how we're going to react even before we react. And that's what God does for us. The record says, if we keep, the record said he would keep us in perfect peace if we keep our mind but stayed on him. But me, I had allowed this thing, this death with George Floyd, to take me off course. I'm probably not the only one. I'm probably just the only one that's admitting it. You get tired of seeing corruption over and over again and nothing happens. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that we should speak out when we see injustice. I believe that we should march. I believe that we should tell what we see, but I also understand that if we have a problem, it's only God that can solve the problem. Jeremiah finally learned that. Jeremiah said, Lord, you have made me. Lord, you have made the heavens and the earth. By your great power, you have stretched out your arm. Nothing is too hard for you. You showed love to thousands and punished those who were sinful. Great and mighty, you are a great and mighty God, whose name is Lord Almighty. Great is your purpose, and mighty is your deeds. So, my brothers and my sisters, maybe, I don't know, but maybe this death of George Floyd has given us an opportunity to look at ourselves and to remember that our righteousness is as filthy rag. No matter how righteous we think we are, no matter how holy we think we have become, no matter how well adverse we are in a prophecy, our righteousness is as filthy rag. And never forget that. Never forget that the just should live by faith. Never forget that God is still in charge. Never forget that vengeance is the Lord. And true righteousness is not of ourselves, but only in him who is the Christ, and him who has borne our sin, and in so doing have saved us from our sins. With his stripe, he has made us heal. This is the God that's in charge of this world. This is the God that sit high and look low. This is the God that Proverbs talk about in Proverbs 15:3. The eyes of the Lord is everywhere. We don't have to remind God about the injustice. We don't have to remind God about 45. We don't have to remind God about his job. God is God all by himself. Jeremiah recognized that. Jeremiah 32:17-19, Jeremiah said, your eyes are open to the way of all mankind. You reward each person according to their deeds. And you give them what they deserve. Help me, Holy Ghost. Habakkuk recognized that after complaining for years about what God was doing, Habakkuk finally came to realize that God is in charge. Habakkuk 3:16-18. Habakkuk said, I will wait patiently for the day of the calamity to come on this nation. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vine, though the olive crop fail, and the field produce no fruit, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord's salvation. I may not have a lot, but I rejoice in the Lord's salvation. I may have my ups and downs, but I will rejoice in the Lord's salvation. Things may be difficult, but I'm going to rejoice in the Lord's salvation. David comes into the picture. And David said, And I love this chapter. In Psalm 37, you can just pick any one of those verses and shout. In Psalm 37, David says, fret not because of evildoers. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like the grass planted, they will soon die away. 45 not going to be the president forever. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safety because God is on the throne. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will do you well. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their evil deed. They will carry out their wicked plan, but the meek shall inherit the earth. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy the peace that passes all understanding. He will make your right, he will make the righteous reward shine like the dew, like the dawn. You will be vindicated like the morning sun. Refrain from, here it is. Here's what God told me. In the midnight hour, God said, pastor, preacher, man of God, refrain from anger. Turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads to evil. It's okay to march, but don't get so emotional about it that you lead to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inhabit the land. This was not one of my texts, but last night, starting Thursday, we had a 24-hour prayer vigil. And as I was preparing for the prayer vigil, God also put this in my spirit. It wasn't in my notes, so I thought it was important to put it in your spirit. This comes from another character that I didn't even talk about. God just reintroduced me to him. Michael, in the Michael, the 6th chapter. This is what God says there. Michael was pastoring the same time of Becca and Isaiah. But it seemed like they was always getting the easy job. Michael had to struggle. It seemed like they always had the plus job, and Michael had to struggle. It seemed like they had the church that had 24 elders, and Michael had to struggle. Michael said, Lord, what do I need to do to please you? What is your requirement for a child of God? And all of this mess, and all of this confusion, and all of this death that we're going through, and all of this bigotry and racism and unjust by lawlessness, what is your requirement for a child of God? Here it is. God said, Michael, this is what you do. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before God. My brothers and my sisters, I know that this thing is difficult. I know that being black or brown in America is challenging. But I do know that Jesus said, if you're going to follow him, that you will be persecuted. If they persecuted me, they'll do the same for you. But he did say, but for those that endure to the end, they would have a seat at the welcome table. Let us pray. Father, this 2 weeks, matter of fact, Lord, this entire year has been a struggle. First, we had the pandemic, locked us in, couldn't go anywhere. It was almost like being behind bars. Couldn't move. Then after the pandemic, then we looked at the economy, crashing like it. And now we have this. Some of us are wondering how much more can we take? But I know, Lord, that soon is very soon. You're going to fire up your chariot. You're going to get on your cloud. And you're going to come and take us home. But until then, I pray that we remember that we can't run with the foot. What are we going to do when the horses begin together? And today, Lord, I ask you to save each and every one of us. Son of your name. Amen. If you want to contact and need more study, we'll always want to make ourselves available. You can call us at area code 504-701-8333. Until then, remember, whoever loves you, God loves you best.